How's it going, guys and gals? This is Advanced Warrior here, and welcome back to another Advanced Wars by Web replay commentary. For those of you who did miss the solo commentaries, you are finally getting one this week, although it was really nice to have Master Kanbai on the channel for some time. Really nice to make videos with him, a lot to learn from his experience from Advanced Wars as well, and yeah, just expect more in the future. But this week is a solo commentary, and it is the continuation of my Global League run. The continuation of my Global League run. So I'm going to discuss the map first, and then I'm going to discuss the COs, because I think I am able to break down why a CO would be chosen for this map, because one thing that can help you get better with Advanced Wars is to find the right CO for the map. I mean, some people could say that they're a main of a certain CO, and I understand the loyalty, but rating COs is a bit tough because the maps are so different. Like, for example, some COs do better on larger maps, some COs do better on smaller maps, some do better open maps, some do better choking maps. So yeah, if you one way to get good in Advanced Wars is to find the right CO for the map. Alright, so the map here is called Birds on the Wire. It looks like a fairly open map, a lot of contested properties here in the middle. The comm towers are in the center, but not too contested unless one side is super aggressive to interrupt the other capture. It's a typical 2 base against 1 base airport side. The HQs are by the 1 base side, so it gives a reason for the strong side to push forward. I like these kind of maps actually. There's some river tiles here that prevent vehicles from passing through, and I think these river tiles actually make interesting plays for artillery, because it's artillery by the HQ can protect this city. Artillery over here can actually protect this city and can attack any enemies attacking the capturing infantry if it gets to that point. But it is still a fairly open map, and artillery usually aren't that great on open maps. Like artillery in the forest here can actually protect this city as well. Something I just realized. But yeah, it's a very open map and has a lot of contested properties. Now my opponent picked a tier 4 CO into tier 3, but I do think that this CO is kind of strong for this map. It's just that in tier 3 she has a lot more competition. Sami's foot soldiers gain plus 30% attack and have a 50% capture bonus. It takes 20 points to capture a city, and with this, and infantry capture 1 point per HP they have. But for Sami, a full healthy infantry can capture 15 points, and it would be dropped down to 5. The only way you can interrupt a Sami capture is if you drop that infantry or mech to 3 HP or less. That way they are unable to capture it, and because they're so capture it the next turn, and because they're so weak, they're usually likely to die or to retreat off the property and try to, focus on other things. Her transport bonus does also help out with her capture game. They allow her transports have +1 move, so that would mean T-copters, landers, black boats, and more commonly APCs. So yeah, Sami is able to be more aggressive and go for more contested properties, and as you saw on the map earlier, there is a handful of them that you can capture, and if Sami plays aggressive enough, she might be able to secure most of the properties and maintain an income lead. She will have to, however, deal with a minus 10% attack on all of her direct units. Artillery, rockets, and missiles are fine. They are left alone, untouched, 100% attack. However, more staple units like tanks and battlecopters, they're all going to be struggling just a bit more. It makes tank engagements a little more comfortable for the opponent, but theoretically, when you're playing as Sami, you should have an income lead, and because of your income lead, you should be able to have more tanks, which means that you will try to win tank fights with numbers, or your mechs can actually do well with against tanks, although they're very, very slow. The transport bonus should actually help out Sami there. For her powers, double time, 3 stars, double time, gives all of her infantry and mechs plus 50% attack and plus 1 movement. Now, the way I've seen double time used is that you would use it to give your infantry the 1 tile movement they need to maybe capture some properties. And with double time, what I've seen work is that you just capture a number of them, and when you do that, it forces your opponent to try to stop those caps or interrupt them. But it's going to be very difficult because if you have healthy infantry, they all need to be down to 3 HP or less, which most of the time requires 2 units to do. You could get away with it, you could not. I have lost to a game where my opponent used double time. It's but when you play it like that, I do find double time interesting, but I just think that saving up for the victory march is actually very worthwhile. Victory March gives all of her infantry and mechs plus 70% attack, plus 2 movement, and can capture a property instantly, no matter what the HP is. So this could give you a huge income swing, or this could allow you to capture the HQ and end the game right there. So yeah, Victory March is very scary. One way to counter Victory March is to put your units on properties which they can't see, and I think this is why Sami's dropped down to tier 4 when she's tier 2 in standard. It's just that her ability to threaten your cities and capture them so easily is what makes opponents like try to park their units on properties. In standard, it's a bit easier to know what cities Sami can capture, and fog is a bit harder, but in return Sami also cannot capture those properties if she cannot see them. She moves up, gets trapped, and there's no value from that victory march. So yeah, very interesting CO. I would argue decent for tier 3, but a lot more competition in tier 3. So I went with the more traditional tier 3 CO, and I went with Kindle. Kindle's day-to-day is that all of her units gain plus 40% attack on urban terrain. This means all the properties that generate income and the other 2 that don't, but she still gets the boost, are comm towers and labs. Unused missile silo tiles also give her the boost, but when it's an empty missile tile like you see here by the HQs, then it doesn't. Then she does not get the bonus. Yeah, I chose Kindle because there are a lot of properties, a lot of fighting around the properties to contest for, and it does give her opportune chances to use her massive day-to-day bonus and get a really good value hit. Her power with 3 stars is, I almost said double time, is Urban Blight. Urban Blight deals damage to all enemies on the map that are currently on a property. It's like all the ones where Kindle will get a boost, attack boost from. Kindle can just deal 3 damage to all of them, and it makes it interesting because usually Kindle wants the cities, but you don't want her to do that, so sometimes you would be on a city yourself, but around the time she has the power, she could just pop it, deal 3 damage to you, and still get a very decent engagement against you. It's a very psychological power, I would consider it, because it's like, okay, I don't want Kindle on these cities, but this power makes me not want to be on cities as well. It's a bit hard to use in fog because you can't see what your opponent builds. Usually if your opponent builds something expensive, you pop Urban Blight, you leave it at 9 HP, and they used up a lot of their income to try to repair it. And it doesn't even repair it to full, like I said, 9 HP. Her super with 6 stars is High Society. High Society gives... did I say one more thing about Urban Blight? Gives all of her units plus 80% attack boost on properties, which does give her the chance to one-shot some units. Now, High Society is 6 stars, and it gives a 130% attack boost on all of her units attacking from a city, and it gives a plus 3% attack boost to all cities owned. Just the cities, not the HQ, comm towers, bases, or airports. She still gets the almost triple bonus attack but she doesn't get the plus 3% stack from those kinds of properties. It only works with cities. Now, I don't see this used a lot. I've been wanting to, because I do believe it's still very good, but only on certain maps. If there's a lot of cities, then yeah, go ahead, use high society if you want a big push. But urban blight just tends to be a lot more useful. It's half the cost of high society, and for this map specifically, I don't see there's like being too many properties to own to use high society. Like I said, it looks like there's a lot of contested properties here in the middle, so it would be hard to get a lot of value off of it. Alright, so those are the COs. Let us begin, shall we? Alright, so Sami, standard infantry build. I do go for this base. Now there is an opportunity to capture chain into this. You do lose out on possibly one infantry at that point, but you do get an extra 1,000. It's just another one of those things where if you plan out your capture phase, then you know how you're going to play, how you're going to capture. But I just went with the standard, get the base first and just keep up a high unit count. It also prevents one infantry to have to go back and then move forward again just to capture that city. Alright, so my opponent kind of does the same thing, goes for the immediate property. I go for the base and I do the same thing as well. And I also have this infantry capture that back city. I will get this base a turn sooner than if I went for the capture chain. So my opponent definitely going for his base. Instead of capturing the back property, he goes for the middle cities. I actually kind of respect this because this infantry has the chance to get the base and then capture chain into the property back here. Instead, I used up 2 infantry to go in the back. This one will start from the forest tile when it's done capturing, and this infantry actually has a chance to go onto the side, and there's like this little 2 capture chain over here. And my opponent's moving forward as well, puts him in range of 2 cities by his HQ. I try across the river, go for this property. I feel like this one might be a bit easier, a bit harder for me to secure, so that's why I went with this one first. And yeah, it's also like another capture chain down there. Do the same thing with the infantry on the top. Now, my problem with this map was that I didn't know what to do. I didn't invest enough time to research the capture phase. I built my first tank, so even though I did not go for the capture chain back here, I still had enough to get a tank out and 2 infantry by turn 4 and avoid base skipping. But yeah, there are a lot of cracks in my capture phase here. You'll see why, because when I say there was a lot of contested properties, I didn't know which ones were supposed to be contested and which ones were supposed to be mine. It's like once you get past like this little shoal area and go more in the center, it becomes a lot tricky. Or in fact, like even these cities on the sides, I really couldn't tell whose property it was supposed to belong to. The more I looked at it, and I actually talked to a top player about this review, and he does bring up a lot of things which I will put in this video. Thank you very much, Can't-Buy. It looks like that this one over here should be mine. The city a bit closer to the airport should belong to the strong side, and vice versa, because there are mountains and there are rivers that would have to make the infantry move around to capture it. Here you can see my opponent has this city, and in 2 turns they could reach that property. So yeah, like me not knowing what properties were contested did make me think, okay, maybe Sami would have been a decent choice here. My choices, the COs that I considered bringing here were Kindle, Rachel, and Andy, maybe Sonja, but not really. Sami as well, maybe. not Drake, because the map is too open, too many contested properties. It's hard to stay even. That by the time you get the Typhoon, it's not going to be as useful. Kindle can get really quick value with the surrounding cities. Andy is pretty solid in a lot of tier 3 maps. Rachel, I'm not very good with Rachel, and I'm afraid of using covering fire and expecting my opponent to know how to play around it. So that's why I didn't really go for Rachel. And here, this was a bit of a mistake by me, according to Can't Buy. So what I could have done was have this infantry capture this city, and then this infantry move down here and start capturing this city. Now, the reason I didn't go for that was because, like I said, I couldn't tell which properties were contested. This was my strong side, so I should have gone for this city, but I was so scared. I was shy, I was scared, I wasn't aggressive enough, and that was a big problem for me. Like, this mountain, at least it shows me this city, and that my opponent hasn't gone for it. But I went for this capture right away, and it could have gone on here to start capturing this. This infantry could maybe go for this city as well. Just miss 1,000 income for that moment. But I'm not doing very well as Kindle, where I should be aggressive and take advantage of my property gains. Build a recon on my strong side, because I thought, okay, the recon is going to assist in my push towards my strong side, and I'll be a bit more passive on my weak side, even though I did go for this property, which I do believe Can't Buy told me that this was considered a contested property. Probably will lose that eventually. So yeah, here you see my opponent goes for this edge property, and they have a very good chance of capturing it, even if they weren't Sami. Alright, so my opponent starts capturing a lot of their properties and builds their tank. Oh, I also forgot to mention, last turn looked like they had enough income for a tank, but this tank came very, very slowly. Like a turn later. And just because Sami's tanks are weaker, it does not mean that you shouldn't use them. Here I make another mistake. Two things happen here. One, I place myself on a shoal tile where it has zero defense. The plane gives me a better chance at 1, and it can reveal what's in the forest and reveal what's in the city. If I did go for this, most likely I probably wouldn't get that capture, but it's still intel for me to make a play. I can't reach the city yet, but I have a tank here. Sami would not want to attack my tank at this point. Even if she did get the comm tower before me, it's still like a very unfavorable trade. I might be able to attack her the next turn from the city and still get the advantage. Finally, I go for the airport, and I get my other recon here just to try to defend or interrupt some captures, but a recon itself will not be able to do that. It's just information to see what my opponent is going to be doing on his strong side. So my opponent's capturing and brings the tank a bit more to the center, where I brought mine a bit more closer to my opponent's weak side. Captures the comm tower. It's best to capture it first, but they didn't attack anything this turn, so the order of attacking the comm tower, capturing the comm tower does not matter. It does matter when you are in the middle of fights or about to start fights. And it looks like my opponent decided to build a tank on their weak side in response to my tank up here. Now, both of us did make a mistake here, and it was that I don't have another unit. I don't have another tank covering my first tank. Although for me, it is my strong side, so I can reinforce it better, and I am on a city with a very strong attack, so I wouldn't be too upset if I got first struck on the city. Now here from my opponent, building a tank on his weak side means that he's not building infantry to try to capture. And remember, my opponent is Sami. Infantry are her strongest units, but the fact that there's a tank on this side means that she's not producing an infantry on this side, and it is kind of far away from the tank. I used to do a single tank on each front, and it never really worked out. Now I've grown as a player, and I have and I have realized the strengths of using strong side, weak side. But I will say this game was I would say one of my absolute worst. This recon here just gets some scouting. I see the cities too late for me to capture, and I am way too late to try to get this one to keep it even. And my recon is also on a shoal, meaning that it can get exposed. It can die to most one-shots. Maybe from a Sami. Sami infantry with a tank attacking first probably could kill that recon. Another thing that I was told not to do was to leave this infantry alive, because this infantry could hide, victory march would pop, and then they would get a free property. But I did this so it would be harder for my opponent to interrupt this capture. They don't see it yet, but I had a feeling they might have. So yeah, I will very likely get that city. I don't know if 3 HP Sami infantry could do 1 damage to an infantry on a city with full health. And here I do finally build my second tank immediately to cover my first one. A bit glad that I haven't been attacked yet. Go for this city, and this one is very, very contested. Or maybe it belongs to my opponent's strong side, but I should not have gone for that city. So my opponent goes for that side city, and goes for one of the central cities as well. Again, Sami's just getting all these captures, and they're getting away with it because I'm not as aggressive as I should be with Kindle. Although I do see this with the recon, so I probably will have the chance to interrupt it. Here my infantry gets spotted out and doesn't go for the interrupt. This infantry did go here, but what's it going to achieve? More than likely, I'm going to secure my airport, and my opponent had plenty of opportunity to reveal this infantry. Maybe they thought that attacking from a zero terrain star tile would be an unfavorable trade, but but because they're Sami, it does a lot better. Like, this infantry will die, and Sami wouldn't need a comm tower for that. What my opponent should have done, taken this infantry, put it here, scout it out, and then go ahead with the attacks. At least one of them will be healthy, because they can't be counterattacked by a dead unit. But instead, they let me get away with this, and I get that property. Tank finally moves up. Other tank moves up as well, and this infantry just does a little bit of scouting, doesn't really get a whole lot of value, so I get away with that as well. And the day 8 medium tank. Teching up is really nice, and especially as Sami, which since you have weaker tanks, a weaker medium tank is still stronger than a regular tank from many other COs. The only issue about this is that there is such thing as teching up early. So what my opponent could have done with all these funds is maybe a battle copter, which would leave him at 13,000, and then a tank, and then fill the rest with infantry. Teching up is, you can see a downside to teching up. They do cost more, but if you can afford it, sure. But it also makes your turns a lot less dynamic, because one medium tank can do a lot of damage to one tank. But if there's another tank, then it can't really touch it at all. 2 tanks, however, can go ahead and get 2 first strikes on those tanks, and those 2 tanks would be weak, and they wouldn't want to attack, so they would have to retreat. So yeah, the cost of teching up is that your turns do become less dynamic. But for a medium tank, usually you would want it on a weaker side. Usually, if you see like 2 to 3 tanks from your opponent, then a medium tank would be good. But unfortunately, I do not follow that rule. I see myself having 18,000. I know I can build a tank and 2 infantry. I do interrupt this capture, which is really good for me. Recon and infantry does allow that to happen, and I go for this city. I don't see anything else other than this 3 HP infantry, which I do kill, so I do think I am likely to go ahead and get that city. Infantry are just moving down. almost walling up in a bit. I move this here to protect my recon. No, to protect my city, because I see this infantry here and it can go for that. But like I said, this was a contested property that was very aggressive to go for, and I just put it in tank range. So that tank is very happy to get that. And I do build a medium tank, and this was the same mistake that I did with my opponent. Medium tank and most of the things I've seen were just infantry, but I do see like 4 infantry against 2 of mine. The other 2 are like guarding the HQ and capturing the airport. And yeah, I do put myself in a forest, a bit suicidal. Now here, I wanted to bring this tank as close to my weak side as I could to try to deal with that tank. I was hoping maybe the recon would survive. So this tank, the safest position it could be while moving most right was back here, because it can just go in a straight line. Still wouldn't reach though. I could maybe go down here, but it is on a shoal tile and it is a lot closer to my opponent's weak side. I will take heavy losses if I got attacked from there. My opponent does get that city on the left side. Attacks in the forest, does 6 damage to my recon. Recon repairs, yeah, it's not going to survive, so I will probably lose it. And I do start losing this city. Yeah, all these infantry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 infantry on my HQ side, and I only see I see some of them. I am still very terrified, however. So my opponent gets 2 of the side cities. I am behind by 1. Infantry does get trapped here, trying to capture, and it reveals this infantry, which is why this tank was able to go up and interrupt the capture. And battlecopter infantry did have enough for an artillery. It is an open map, and I did say that artillery did not look as strong at first glance, but I do take back what I thought about artillery when I first heard about it. Artillery on this HQ, by the HQ behind the river tile can block off that city. Artillery in this forest can get this city. I feel like there was a 3rd spot somewhere. Might have missed it. Maybe this forest tile. It's a bit closer to the opponent's side, but in this position, artillery would actually be fantastic for my opponent since they covered that so much. Alright, so I saw one of them. I was like, okay, this medium tank is just going to be a blocker. And I should have scouted first. Scouting that would have definitely made me put a medium tank there. Recon moves in, and I do see the medium tank from my opponent. So I go capture that city. I kill the infantry, and I'm trying to get this property at least. I am threatening this comm tower, but going for it is very much suicide. And I allow myself to get a huge first strike on that tank. Unfortunately, that tank is going to end up surviving, but here is another mistake that I did. This is something that I do know, but I just didn't see it that way for some reason. Maybe because it was sideways. You want to attack with your back units first, and then your more forward units can reach out a bit further. So I attack with one tank, and I move my other tank to try to reinforce the middle and punish this tank for staying and attacking my recon. The problem with that is that what I could have done is that this tank can actually reach the city up here, and it will get the first strike. And this tank would be a lot closer towards the middle. It would be like 2 to 3 tiles behind, trying to go this way, and that was the not exactly punishable, but I could have played this a lot better. And because I see the medium tank, my cost-efficient response to it was, okay, artillery. I built the recon because I know I'm going to lose this one. But I know my opponent would want to stick around and see that recon dead. So they capture that property, my property, unfortunately, kill off my vision, and has no vision of this city, so I will get that city. Infantry gets trapped on the right side, on the left side, and medium tank attacks the only infantry that his army could see. You usually do not want to attack. I don't know why these two are together. You usually do not want to attack infantry with medium tanks, unless there's usually nothing better to do, which is what Can't Buy told me. Second medium tank and 2 mechs. Alright, you know, in 1, 2, 3, about 4 turns, they would reach the front lines of the weak side, which is why you would probably want to transport. And here I injure this because, you know, make the captures harder, and this one stayed alive because the recon is going to attack from the city, going to guarantee that kill. And I go for this capture here to force my opponent to do something. I get the kill on the infantry on the plane, and I don't kill, but I interrupt that capture at least. And here I go for this property, to go for the HQ. My plan was to have it as a diversion, but I soon later realized that keeping your infantry alive is really, really important. And here I mess up again. I could have moved this tank somewhere else and attack and start capturing this neutral property, but I don't do that because I just wanted to slow down that medium tank. And I do build a medium tank on my strong side as well. Infantry are just trying to move to where the fighting is happening. Let's see what my opponent does. Kills my 5 HP infantry. Medium tank attacks the infantry. I mean, it still forced 2 units to stop it. And here the battlecopter comes in, gets a really good first strike on my tank. I don't have an anti-air built. It was day 11. It was day 10. I didn't build an anti-air yet. That was way too slow for me. Usually I hear 7, 8, 9. Those turns are when you would want to build an anti-air. Join captures down here, so they're very likely to get that property. Infantry are just taking really good first strikes, and captures another one of my properties, which is very difficult for me. And for some reason, attacks from the shoal. Now there are two problems with this. One, the plane tile does offer more defense. The same mistake that I did, where I didn't put the infantry on the plane. But not only is it on a shoal, it's also next to a property, and I have my power up soon. So yeah, they go for that kill, and this was absolutely free. It does invite a very interesting topic the next turn, which we will discuss when we get there. Gets the first strike on my infantry up there. Looks like my opponent built another battlecopter and all infantry. I would like to see artillery at least. Like I understand, it's an open map, but these river tiles actually do hinder vehicles' movement to try to attack an artillery, where you can only need to protect it from 2 sides. Maybe the back if your opponent is sneaky, but it's really hard to be sneaky. And same as artillery are completely normal. Alright, so here's the interesting thing about Urban Blight. The way I use Urban Blight is that I use it on things that I can see, which is what I think a really, really good way to use Kindle in in fog. You just don't want to automatically pop it whenever. However, in this very specific situation, it does interrupt 2 captures, but because they're Sami, it will not interrupt, so I will have to assist in interrupting these caps. And this other thing right here was like absolutely free. I mean, why would I not take that engagement? I just one-shot a tank with my own tank. Oh, and I do go for this interrupt, okay. Still slowly trying to capture that city, and even if I'm not on a city, plus 10% attack and defense. I mean, it makes Von Bolt good, so why not? I don't think my opponent gets that. The captures are rounded down. It doesn't say here, but they are rounded down captures. So I don't know what I'm doing with my infantry, honestly. But yeah, I'm just moving them down. Have units to the recon protects the HQ, but this does leave that city open. I do have 2 other infantry and a battlecopter to try to stop those if they go for anything. Infantry, anti-air, and another infantry. And here I move my infantry back. And if my opponent was clever enough, then this was a completely fluked attack. See, the problem with this is that when I did this, I was like, okay, my opponent will be forced to attack me here, and they will be out of vision of my airport. The only problem is that if a player realizes that they have it here specifically, even though it's going to die, it does prevent them from seeing my airport. And some players will be thinking, oh, he's done this so I can't see his airport. So it's probable that he has built something, most likely a battlecopter. It's probable he built a battlecopter and he's not letting me see it. So I do get this free infantry, and I have the idea that my opponent's building a battlecopter because the way they moved it, they're trying to hide it. So this really gave my opponent some information, like, hey, I'm building something here, I don't want you to see it. Yeah. So he goes for that attack, and see, he's still out of vision, but because of the way I moved my infantry, he's like, oh yeah, he's got a copter. Goes for a very aggressive capture, which I don't agree with. It is right by my HQ. I mean, yeah, sure, it might force me to attack it, but yeah, just this infantry is not going to get that property. This property here is at 1 HP, so I was able to stop it. My other property here is going to be attacked, and my opponent is just pushing infantry right by my base. Join caps this to secure that. It has to be dead now in order for me to stop that cap. Battlecopter kills my infantry on the side. I was not getting that property. Medium tank. Our medium tanks were not really that great because all they were doing was just attacking infantry, which is not what you really want to do. First battlecopter, my opponent built swings in the center. I do see it. And yeah, I was not going to get that HQ capture at all. So the mechs are moving up. Medium tank on my opponent's strong side looks a bit better. I do have a medium tank on my weak side as well. Oh, my opponent was trapped by this infantry. Okay, I see. But yeah, it's gonna die. So battlecopter comes in. This infantry movement that I moved up here earlier was dumb. I attacked with it anyways. It was the only one that could attack this infantry. Recon gets the one-hit KO. And yeah, like I said, missile tiles are not viable for a Kindle bonus. I sacrificed this city, sadly, to interrupt that capture up here. So I've got a lot of units balled up. Recon moves in the center, trying to reinforce with vision. Anti-air. Because I saw this battlecopter coming towards the middle, I thought my opponent would like maybe go for an attack over here. So yeah, the anti-air is going to run into the battlecopter, or the battlecopter is going to run into the anti-air. Alright, so I move my medium tank a bit more towards the center. Artillery is protecting it, and I do just like wall off on the bridge by my strong side. I lose that property. I am currently 3 income behind. The mechs are slowly moving up. I do see that mech. Yeah, the infantry are just moving up, and this was brutal. I know that battlecopter was there because it attacked my infantry here. But then the battlecopter is just suiciding into all these other infantry. Blind, might I add. Medium tank goes for this. So 100% aggressive. I do not agree with that. Battlecopter takes the medium tank hit. I am a bit okay with that. Did see the medium tank coming by. And my opponent's just throwing units away. Like, you know, just push forward, you'll get something eventually. You're freaking Sami. They do build the anti-air here, so I give them credit. They see the battlecopter, they responded properly. So, Recon moves back here just to get some vision. And yeah, this was another thing that I noticed. Unless I had an infantry here, my opponent does put a lot of units by cities. And it's just giving me really juicy hits. And like here, yeah, this medium tank's dead. And I took no losses because of that. Might get attacked by the battlecopter. And when I saw this battlecopter just aggressively move up front, it made me think, okay, this battlecopter is probably going to stay here to get a kill. And as you can see, my anti-air is just out of range of it. I was confident my opponent was going to attack one of my tanks, and my anti-air will just get that valuable hit. And this was another mistake that I made. So I'm just gonna play through this turn. Medium tank kills the infantry. Infantry gets out of the way, kills the battlecopter, and I just killed all the rest of the infantry here. Try to protect that city. Put my infantry on the mountain to get some vision. Doesn't really add much to it. Artillery is protecting my anti-air, and my other artillery moves up here as well. Battlecopter, the second battlecopter, and I build the tank infantry. That's the end of the turn. My biggest mistake was that I left my recon by the mech, and the recon here sees the mech, and I'm like, okay, the mech's not gonna reach it next turn, I don't have to worry about it. But my opponent was very, very close to her super. It gives +2 movement. It can potentially kill this recon. Not guaranteed, but it has to be a high roll for it to kill. My opponent could have like maybe find some way to get charged. Maybe killed it. Maybe if this dies, kill the battlecopter. Capture the comm tower. One infantry gets vision on the HQ. The mech will get more than likely a kill on the HQ. Capture my HQ, and I lose the game. That was the scenario that went in my head, and I was very scared. I actually couldn't sleep at night. I was like, well, okay guys, that's the game is over. I didn't play. My Kindle was not aggressive enough. I was too scared to capture certain properties, and all that has led to my punishment. There was only one saving thing though. A, my opponent needed vision, and I don't think my opponent's built a single recon. And B, if I didn't know if they would have enough charge for it. Like they can't see the anti-air. They can't suicide the battlecopter into the anti-air, get charge, and get a high roll, kill my recon, and capture the property. I was so fortunate that that wasn't the case. Yeah, they see the recon, and they put the mech behind it just to protect it. And the mech goes on the city. Infantry goes for another aggressive capture. I mean, yeah, it's a weaker infantry, but this infantry is just dead. Battlecopter swings around. Okay, so the battlecopter would not have been able to kill this tank. So this comm tower is safe from a potential victory march. Starts capturing that property. infantry is dead to that tank as well, and oh man. Keep in mind, my opponent cannot see anything. This is why I built those artillery. It's 12,000 to kill 16,000. I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw this. Tank moves up. Other tank moves up, and they built a Neo tank. Now my opponent has teched up. I would say this is this is a lot better tech up than the medium tank. All right, so day 14. I had the notification on my Discord that it was now my turn. That told me I was still alive, and I was just like, oh my god, I have a chance. And then I saw the medium tank here, and I'm just like, I should probably win at this point. So let's see here. Get the vision. Okay, I see the infantry here. 1 artillery, 2 artillery. Now, it doesn't kill, but it's actually very, very weak. I use the anti-air instead to kill the medium tank because my infantry, even from this property, trying to chip it down was a huge risk. But this infantry is also the only one that could reach the city from the river tile. But I don't have any other units to follow up that protection. I will very likely lose this city to a victory march. To kill the battlecopter. Thankfully they stayed because I attacked from the comm tower. It's a bit hard to kill that anti-air, and now I pop Urban Blight. I had some reason for it. I don't know why. It does damage the mech. Oh yeah, this recon gets why is this mech not at 3 HP? But Urban Blight allowed me to kill that mech. And now I put the proper unit on the HQ, the medium tank, a lot more bulkier to try to kill. Battlecopter, very aggressive, kills that 7 HP mech, but there's an anti-air right here. I do get the full kill with the 7 HP infantry. And yeah, I'm just moving up a bit more, pull the medium tank back. It's on a shoal, so it is risking a very dangerous first strike. It was to put my tank on the city to kill that infantry and do slight protection. Yeah, that medium tank could not attack anything if there was a medium tank attacking here. Yeah, I'm just moving my units up, and I just keep building medium tanks. Alright, so my opponent finally gets their super. So they get the kill on the anti-air. Probably better to put it on the city for the sake of defense. This anti-air does not give vision on the HQ. It's the infantry putting vision on the HQ. Victory march comes from my opponent. So this was very, very big. I don't know why, but yeah, they get the capture here. But assuming I get this back, this is by a city on a shoal tile. Uh-oh. You folks get the idea. Did I mess it up? I'm sorry. You folks get the idea. And those infantry are just moving up because it's almost like they don't have anything better to do. And this tank is just trying to scout, but it's gonna die. And this was, oh man, damages the anti-air. Yeah, I probably could still heal it and still kill units. To be fair, my opponent could not see either of these artillery, but they should at least have thought maybe, okay, maybe one of them was up here. Yeah, that medium tank is gonna get shot. Not medium tank, that tank's gonna get shot. I lose my property, my opponent gains that neutral property. I am currently 8,000 behind on income. But my unit count is still very, very good. Oh, and the Urban Blight hit the Neo tank, so I guess that was good. Brought them down to 2 tanks and an infantry. Alright, let's see here. So, artillery, free shot on that tank. Medium tank comes in. Other injured tank finishes it off, securing that kill. And yeah, I just try to go for this kill. Unfortunately, I don't. Even with a high roll, I probably wouldn't kill because Sami has her super up. Yeah, I'm just moving some infantry up, trying to protect some of my units. Anti-air, free shot on that infantry. Battlecopter infantry does manage to get the kill and opens up the medium tank to a city attack. I do not kill that, unfortunately. And to protect my HQ, I put my recon back up because I don't see anything that can hugely threaten a recon. Both of the mechs were killed. Infantry are just moving up again. This tank is trying to reinforce my weak side. On a plane this time at least, for better defense. Tank, infantry, and I also have another battlecopter up there, because I know that anti-air is gone. Interrupts the cap on the side, and the Neo tank comes in. Now, I was counting the income. I should have expected a Neo tank this game. I should have expected it, yeah. Now, yeah, he's trying to protect his medium tank to repair to 3 at least. Infantry stays on the city. It is going to force me to use up units to try to kill it. Builds a mech again with 10,000 left. I could have seen a lot more better things being built, honestly. But this battlecopter comes in and tries to kill that infantry. And I go for the kill because this infantry can see this infantry because it's on their property. I use this back battlecopter though to attack that infantry in the back. Infantry moves off to the side because if you attack from a base, it's technically a base skip. I pop Urban Blight, and what this Urban Blight does is that it damages this infantry, and it also gives me plus 80% if I attack here. Now I don't have that medium tank in range to attack this from the city, but I had other plans. I could have used my battlecopter a bit differently though, to maybe attack from here rather than just attacking infantry, but my plan is, this is how it went. I clear off the Neo tank. I clear off the Neo tank from the east side so I can pull this tank down and deal 4 damage to it. Now this tank right here gets a 80% attack boost and deals 3 damage. And I think this was a high roll. This definitely was a high roll. Oh no, I had plus 10% attack. So it was less of a high roll. I do 2 things here. I damage the infantry and I block with the recon. So I can capture this city back. My medium tank comes in. Infantry follows up, kills it. I start capturing one of his properties and I wall it off from 3 sides. Artillery here, just for good measure, protects all the units in front of it. Recon comes in, heavily damages the infantry. There was no way I could get a healthy infantry on that city, but I use a higher HP infantry to capture. Infantry's moving down, threatening this city. Artillery comes in to cover only the right side of this recon and only the left side of this medium tank. And I just pull back to heal. Anti-air could have maybe stayed here to maybe assist in killing infantry. This anti-air here was already covering most of it. Maybe not the medium tank, that's probably why I went for it. Yeah, my infantry just moving up. I free the bases for artillery, tank, infantry. I only had 14,000 this turn. That was all I could buy, or at least what I wanted to buy. You know, like you saw these artilleries killing the medium tank. So I just thought, okay, if my opponent has a lot of income, I'm expecting more teched up units. I have 2 injured two injured medium tanks. A healthy artillery can do a good amount of damage. So my opponent moves the infantry on the top, on top of his HQ.
Battlecopter moves up. The tank tries to kill my medium tank. Medium tank pulls back. Infantry trying to repair / protect property. Mech and infantry moving up, and my opponent has resigned. So, this was a very interesting game for me, honestly, because this was not a good game by me. I mean, I won, but it felt like that all the problems that I was having with this game, I feel like my score does not reflect how this game was. This game was very, very bad. I am 5-0 in Global League now after this game, but I really felt like I deserved to lose this game. I played my CO wrong. I played too scared. I didn't review replays of this map to know what cities are usually for me and what cities are usually for my opponent. I consider that a mistake. All of those mistakes that I did, and I just 8,000 income behind. I mean, that is with a Sami, but all the other contested properties that were in the middle of this map, I only had like 2 of them, and my opponent had the rest. Maybe one of them was neutral, but just looking at that, I was like, okay, I am behind on income. So this was honestly probably my worst game so far playing Global League. I did not understand how I was winning until I saw that my opponent was just throwing units out just to die. Like they didn't have any other thought process, just push forward, push forward, push forward. I'll just send more coming in the back. Well, that just got them punished because how many did they lose? They lost 2 Battlecopters, which, you know, I would say average. They lost 2 medium tanks and 1 neo tank. Me, I lost 1 medium tank, 1 Battlecopter. The stats really did tell me that I was in a winning situation because I had so many more kills, and all those kills were like valuable kills. Like you saw, neo tank, 2 medium tanks, they're gone because he just kept suiciding them. But at the end of the day, I still feel like that I should have lost this game to some degree. Advance Wars is the kind of game where, I mean, the person who makes the least amount of mistakes are usually the ones who win. I mean, that sounds very, very normal, but Advance Wars, where there's like so many different moves, it really does matter. Yeah, I was not proud of this win. It really hurts to look back and just see I was so scared to attack, so scared to get certain properties because I felt my opponent was aggressive. My kind of CO, I should have been aggressive back. But yeah, I won, but I still feel like I have a lot more to learn after this game. And I will keep moving on. You know, if I did lose this game, it would just make me realize, okay, definitely do my research, definitely practice for these games. All right, guys and gals, thank you so much for watching this replay. My subscriber numbers have actually gone up significantly. I think I said that last time, but they're going up and up and up, and I thank you guys. I did not expect to receive this kind of growth, and it does motivate me to put a lot of work into these videos. Yeah, the replay viewer doesn't automatically put in the background music of the matches. I do that myself because I want to keep you guys interested. You just hear me talk and talk and talk with no background music. It can get boring. Here, the game is over, so it is kind of like a fall a falling action, you know, climax falling action. Yeah, this is kind of like a falling action right now, which is why there's no background music. But I do put work into these videos, and you guys liking my content really shows me that all the work that I put in these videos are very much worth it. About 1 hour of recording is about 3 hours of editing. That's a little bit of behind the scenes trivia of what I do for these videos. But thank you guys so much for watching. I will continue the weekly uploads and then some guerrilla videos if you're interested as well. Guys and gals, this has been Advanced Warrior, and you all have my warmest regards. Please take care.